Y'all ready to blaze away or what?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Nvidia is possibly having the worst year ever. We have another leak coming out of them, and this time we have release dates. Now, the leak that happened, I want to say back in September, that's like 2 months ago, that was a huge leak. But that leak was a little bit different because that one really wasn't a leak. It was more of a hack. That information was pulled from their website by some unknown user. It included 18,000 games and titles. A lot of those was either old games or scrapped projects, but you did have a few gems on there. You did have a few, I would say probably about 200 titles on there was titles we never heard of or titles that are considered new, right? Tekken 8 being one of them. Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall is another. You also had God of War PC. You also had the GTA Remastered Trilogy. Now, when that hack first came out, a lot of people were quick to say, you know, this is fake, this isn't real. But that's the thing, right? Not only did Nvidia come out a few days later saying that the title, that the hack was in fact true, right? That someone did actually hack into their software. They came out and say that it was true. But what they said was the titles are speculative, basically saying like, oh, these titles aren't confirmed. This isn't some announcement. These are just hearsay. But I think that was them more so trying to cover their tails, right? Because when you leak someone's game, someone is going to want to sue you, or they're going to want you to pay for that, right? These companies put a lot of effort into marketing and a lot of effort into revealing the game in the way that they want. Now, for the two games that was hacked, leaked, and then now they're out, we have God of War for PC. God of War for PC was a big one on there, possibly the biggest, because this will be one of the first PlayStation games to make its way to PC. And this comes out in January 14th, 2022. So literally right around the corner. This was a huge one. When people seen that this was actually real, that gave a lot more credibility to this list. Another one that was real and people sort of latched onto to say that this list is looking more and more real each day was the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Now, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is not in a good state right now. I've been watching that just from Reddit, Twitter, all these things, and the Grand Theft Auto trilogy really had so much potential, but they squandered it, right? How I said the leaks can either hurt or help a game. I think all these games that are leaked, all of these games are benefiting from that because leaks are interesting. It's like information you're not supposed to have. It gets everyone talking, right? But now let's move on to this second leak. This second leak has to do with release dates. From the looks of it, every game that was originally leaked, the new ones, right? Not any of the old ones or the canceled games or the scrap projects, the placeholders, not any of that. But all the games that look like they're going to be coming within the next year or so got a release date. Most notably, we have Tekken 8, we have Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall, and we have Mortal Kombat 2. Now, here's the thing about Tekken 8. Tekken 7 has been here for 7 years right now. So whether you believe this leak is true or not, everyone, the whole community is sort of in agreement that 2023 or 2022 is the perfect time for Tekken 8 to be released, right? I did a video 1 month ago and it was talking about, in that video, I was talking about a poll that the community voted on. I think over like 1,000, 2,000 people voted on the poll, and everyone was in agreement that 2023 and 2022 was the most likely dates for Tekken 8, considering how old it is, considering what the developers are doing now. We had a patent that also happened a month ago where they were talking about tutorials and helping new players, right? Everything seems to be pointing towards Tekken 8 being finalized, right? I'm already expecting that all of the big story elements, right? They probably even have the base roster done at this point. If not, they're probably switching out a few characters here and there, adding in some new originals. But I would say if I had to guess right now, I would say they probably have 70% of Tekken 8 done, and this next year and a half they will just be fixing the bugs, fixing the glitches. Like I said before, Tekken 7 is basically a beta for Tekken 8. All of the anti-cheat software, all of the anti-hack software, all of the netcode things they are doing right now, I believe they are doing that in anticipation for Tekken 8, because when Tekken 8 comes out, they want to be able to have a control over the hacker situation, the cheating situation, and they want to be able to address these things rapid fire. So I do see Tekken 7 as being sort of a beta for Tekken 8, right? But let's look at the release dates. Like I said, we have Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall. So the release date on this is January the 3rd, 2023. Now, this one, it seems like, okay, that's kind of realistic, but what really is kind of like confusing, you also have here Mortal Kombat, which is April the 3rd, 2023. So that is 3 months later. Injustice will drop in January. Mortal Kombat 12 will drop in April. Now, the reason why I think these games are so closely together, I talked about this a few months ago, but basically, Warner Bros., who are in control, they're the parent company of NetherRealm Studios, they don't want NRS to be putting out these mediocre games. They want NRS to drop fire games that they know are going to be successful. So back those few months ago, I was talking about how they may have been working on Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall, but that project either is going to get scrapped or it's going to get delayed, and instead Mortal Kombat 12 will be pushed out. So that is why I think these two dates are here very close. I think Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall will be delayed 1 whole year back, and then Mortal Kombat 12 will come out before Injustice 3 Gods Will Fall. And that's also the reason why people say Mortal Kombat 12, Mortal Kombat 11 was stopped so early, because they wanted Mortal Kombat 11 developers to start working on Mortal Kombat 12, right? But now let's look at Tekken 8. You have December the 1st, 2022. Now, I could definitely see this being the case. I could definitely see this release date being realistic. The biggest thing that we have to take into consideration for a Tekken 8 release date is, where does it fall on the calendar in regards to E3? Michael Murray has already said that the only time they announce new video games is at E3. So E3 takes place in June. So if they were to show a trailer for Tekken 8 at E3 in June, that still leaves about, like 8 months or so for them to really finalize it and really make it good. So I think this Tekken 8 December 1st, 2022 is a good date, but also the date that the community was set on was a few months later, was in April in 2023. So you do have it there where this leak is saying December 21st. 2022, the community believes the best possible time is in April 2023. So that is probably about a 6-month gap, right? Now, what I want to do is talk about some of these responses to this leak from the Tekken subreddit. The first one, this is the most upvoted comment. It says, usually when devs put placeholder dates like this, if they use December, then it usually means they do not have good faith in the game will be ready that particular year. It's also make complete sense in any case. 2023 is the earliest make most sense for a developer timeline and timing. And I would agree here, because usually Call of Duty and Battlefield, these big FPS games, release in the holiday season, and then everything else release after that, right? God of War is going to be releasing in January. Tekken 7 last time released in, I believe, April. So usually they don't put their Tekken games in this December slot. So I would think that is kind of like shaky for them to put it in December, because December is holiday season and people try to get games for cheap and stuff like that. I just think April is way better, because especially with how they've been doing the seasons, the year-round season release, season passes, it just fits better in April. Now, one big concern that is on everyone's mind is the arcade release. This one says, true or false, if it is 2022, please just skip the arcade release first, release straight to consoles first. Another one says, knowing Namco, that will be Japanese and Korea arcade exclusive until 2025. And you can kind of see that overall in the community. Aries, he was talking about on Rip's podcast how We don't know if there's some secret agreement, if there's some contracts there, because in Japan, the arcade scene is huge. The arcade scene and also the pachinko slot machines are huge. And we don't know what kind of agreements Tekken have when it comes to releasing games. Maybe they have an agreement where it release 3 games on arcades first and then consoles. But I think, first off, in Tekken 7, they barely got away with doing that. They barely slid past and it was okay for them. But I think now in the current generation, doing a split release like that, especially years apart, is not good for the game, especially when you're doing it for arcade versus consoles and PC, right? Some games, they do a split release where PlayStation will get it 6 months and then Xbox will get it 6 months later. Even that is a bit of controversy. Gamers usually doesn't like that, but it's kind of the normal now. But arcades is never ever in the mix, and I think people wouldn't really be okay for that. I know I most certainly wouldn't be if I'm not. And that's the thing, the community isn't against this game going to arcade. We just want everyone to be able to experience it at the same exact time. When you talk about arcades getting it early, not only did that give Japan and Korea a huge advantage, they were masters at the game. Meanwhile, America and the rest of the world were trying to play catch up. And it took us 2 to 3 years before we saw players being able to rival them, right? Jimmy J. Tran, Anakin, Little Majin. It took many years for the American scene to catch up. Also, the European scene, Super Akuma, right? I think in order to keep the competitive nature fair and also to keep the fun for everyone, I think they should release it all at once so everyone can enjoy it together. But that is it. That is all the information we have about the release dates, about this Nvidia leak. So far, the developers still have not said anything about whether or not they're doing a season 5. I'm keeping hope alive until the CEO comes and goes. That's in about a month from now. So we'll see what happens with Tekken 7 in regards to getting more content, more updates, another season. But everyone really is looking at Tekken 8 as the end all be all and the next big thing, right? I think it is just sort of more evidence that they are working on Tekken 8, right? Because that's the thing. One comment says, why would Nvidia have this information? Nvidia is kind of like a game platform. Not really, but it needs to know these things. That's like if PlayStation has a release date and you say, why does PlayStation have a release date? All these companies need to work together in order to make sure these games release on time and to make sure everything runs smoothly. One example off the top of my head is when Kunimitsu leaked back in season 4 1 year ago. Kunimitsu leaked, and it was because of the Bandai Namco Brazil team. They got confused with the time zones and they got confused with the times, and they released the trailer and everything early. Now, of course, they got a phone call and they pulled that stuff back. But you can see how one little misunderstanding, everything can fall apart. So Nvidia, it's not really odd for them to have this information, but that is it. That's everything I want to talk about, everything I want to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, found it informational. If you did, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it inspires me to keep on going. But that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.